Hello and welcome to the Swan Song Project Podcast. My name is Ben Buddy Slack and I'm the founder of the Swan Song Project. We're a charity that helps people fade into their lives to write and record their own original songs. This podcast features songwriters and we talk about bereavement and music. They share with us one of their songs, tell us about how they wrote it, a songwriting tip might be useful to other songwriters, and also a song that's meaningful to them in some way related to bereavement. This episode features Beans on Toast and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, today I'm here with Mr. Beans on Toast. Jay McAllister, thanks for joining me, man.
My pleasure. Hi, Ben. Ben Buddy Slack. I love it.
Yeah, it's a pair of good names.
Yeah.
So if anyone's seen these podcasts before, we do them in three sections. First, we're going to have one of my guest songs, and we're going to talk a little about how they wrote that. Section 2, Jay's going to share with us a songwriting tip that might be useful for new songwriters. And then section 3, we're going to talk about songs meaningful to Jay in some way related to bereavement. So I'm going to hand you over and ask you to introduce your song for us, please, Jay.
It's a song called Human Contact, and it was written and recorded and released from kind of lockdown or quarantine, basically. It's one of a few songs that I've been putting out effectively during the kind of last 3 months. I think it was the second song that I wrote. Instantly when the pandemic hit and I was at home, I started reacting to it by writing songs about it. And this was more, it was quite easy to write doom and gloom songs and sort of, I was really concerned about my well-being and the world's well-being, but also I knew that the world probably didn't need many songs like that. So this is more of a song about remembering the good times and sort of looking forward to a time when this is past, basically. It's called Human Contact. Take it away. I'm a hugger, I'm a kisser, a high fiver and a handshaker. I'll probably tell you that I love ya before I even had a chance to get to know ya. Touchy-feely, but not in a weird way. I can get comfortable on a busy tube train, and I like treating strangers like they're my best friends. Never had any complaints back then. I've always had a thing for human contact, and I miss that. We're doing fine, man. We're doing well as can be expected. You know, how about yourselves? I'm guessing your work is dried up too. You're also sat at home wondering what to do. Now the future ain't nothing but a question mark, and there's time to find out who you really are. You're a hugger, you're a kisser, a high fiver and a handshaker. You know I really miss ya. I can't wait until I can actually see ya face to face, less than a meter apart. Can't wait for you to tell me who you really are. You've always had a thing for human contact, and I love that. I feel at home in large gatherings of people, pubs, clubs and football matches, gigs and festivals. I made a living trying to bring people together, saying, hug it out, man, it'll make you feel better. Now the future ain't nothing but a waiting game, waiting to find out when we'll meet again. Let it be known when this is over, we're gonna have a giant get together. We'll be hanging from the rafters, and we won't be taking anything for granted. I know it might not happen anytime soon, but I need to believe a normality will resume, where it's normal to kiss, normal to hold hands, normal to wrap your arms around your friends. I've always had a thing for human contact, and I miss that.
Okay, brilliant. So that was Human Contact by Beans on Toast. Yeah, it's a great song, man. I think it's I really like it. I really like it. Feels like you've really captured something what will be very real to a lot of people, and maybe something what people hadn't realised as much beforehand. It's definitely something what I've thought with this is, doing the video calls like with so many people, like it's good, but it's not the same as meeting people.
It's, of course, yeah, it's strange what you take for granted. And I think, that being close to, I think, friends and also strangers, I think is what people, it's still feeling now that you can see family a bit closer, but you still know that there's something sort of fundamentally missing from everybody's lives, really. And that is just that thing that you never really thought about before, because it was completely taken for granted. I mean, if there is any, hopefully, well, as a race, we'll learn some lessons from this, and put in a more important sort of realizing how important that human connection is could well be one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a line in the song about not taking things for granted, and I hope that is the way it goes when it's back to normal, that we don't take.
Yeah, it's hard to, I mean, it's hard to sort of think and talk about again without kind of depressing yourself a little bit. It's because it's obviously going to be quite a slow, drawn out process as well. It'd be nice if it's like there's one day and then it's just a button is pressed and you're allowed to sort of hug and kiss your friends and family again. But I don't feel like it's going to be that way. But I also believe that it won't change humanity forever in regards to that subject anyway. We'll, we've realised how important it is, and we'll take it back when we can.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not too long. And you say you've written quite a lot of songs during lockdown. How have you been finding that? And I think you've got your own recording setup and everything there for.
It's a super simple recording setup, but I've always written about current events, and I've found that the more that I've been writing, and in recent years, if you write about current events, you always have quite a short shelf life for the song, because the world moves on and things become out of date quite quickly. And that's also why I release quite a lot of music. And so I'm always writing, and I release an album a year. And it feels in the last couple of years that the world is speeding up so fast. Even an album a year is, I was writing about Brexit for an album that was going to come out at the end of last year. And it was hard, it was hard to keep tabs on it from day to day, let alone in order to get into a studio and record and release with a video properly. And I think that says a lot about the world. And somehow it's sped up my writing. And I've never really questioned why I feel the need to write songs before. But when the pandemic hit, and when it was sort of, it realized this is a really big thing that's going to affect everybody, and it's coming now. And I instantly, at a time when, both myself and my wife started coughing as well. And I was like, instantly, I just sat that night and wrote a song called Strange Days. And I had this sort of urge to record, and then I'll put it out 3 days later, one knowing that it would have a short shelf life. And for the first time I was like, why am I doing this? Why is my knee-jerk reaction to take what I see in the world and spin it into a song and then force it back out into the world? And I still haven't really found an answer. I mean, now it's what I do for a living, but that's not what was driving me behind writing that song and putting it out. I guess it's a mix of trying to work out the thoughts and feelings I have for myself. I find writing a song is a good way of kind of lethargic and a good process for my own kind of sort of well-being, I guess. And then I putting it out into the world in a hope to find other people that feel similar, that can then form a kind of community or friendship with, or something along them lines. Again, I've never questioned it before, but because of the quick turnaround of that song, and because, as I mentioned earlier, also another thing that happened is a lot of podcasts and sort of Zoom interviews and whatnot sprung up. So where I was instantly commenting on it, it was also, I was asked questions for it more than perhaps I would when I put an album. If I put an album out, I do a bunch of interviews and there's a lot to talk about, so you just sort of graze over it. But I was being asked, why have you just put this song out? How do you feel about the pandemic? It's like, well, this is how I feel about it exactly in the song, and why I put it out you're going to have to give me a minute to think it over. But then it's a case of just wanting to stay creative. And also, I mean, the other thing is there's so much to write about as well, with how quickly everything changed and the amount of emotions that I go through on a daily basis surrounding this, both within my personal life and what is going on as, you know, in the wider world. There's so much to comment on. And obviously that means that everybody's sticking their oar in, but it feels like, for whatever reason, it's just a complete knee-jerk reaction now for me. And that's what it's been throughout the past 3 or 4 months. And in fact, I've been writing quicker than kind of even, like, I've been putting songs out every couple of weeks, but I've got 2 songs still in my back pocket because people just, no one wants another song every day or whatever. So I've been kind of shelving songs as well. And then I guess I intend to, I'll kind of collate them all and put them on a half of an album or whatever at the end of the year. But the recording setup is super simple. Again, it's just me and a guitar. I actually have like a like a sort of DLR, like a nice video camera with a mic on it. And I feel I'm kind of not a big fan of Pro Tools or any recording software at all. So by recording into a camera, it takes out the laptop scenario completely. You just get a take all the way through, and then I send it to my friend who kind of masters it and does all of, makes it a bit more palatable. And also the working out the ability to record, release onto Spotify, you know, I make a video for each song, which I do quite like video editing software. So I play around with that. That keeps me busy in the evenings, and make a little video for it, turn it all around. And again, it's like working out what's important in the world and realizing that how much you can do from your home, be it a podcast or be it, you know, release a bunch of songs out into the world and then stay there and manage to communicate with the people that it's going to and whatnot. So it's been my process from it has been, I don't know what I would have done without it, I think is worth saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things you touched on there. I think questioning why you do it is one of those kind of mysterious rabbit holes that you can get lost in, I think, and why you're drawn to it. But I think, like what you're saying, I think, you know, like, I think songs and things that are written during this time will just be so interesting for people to look back on in the future. This being, like, we're living through one of those times that 50 years or so people will talk about the coronavirus.
I mean, it will be so well documented, wasn't it? Because it was almost like we was like a kind of race of beings that were busy documenting nothing, almost. Like everybody was documenting their daily lives just for the kind of hell of it. And then, and now they'll all, and it just sort of felt like there was much to look back on. But now, I mean, from now until forever, history will be documented in unfathomable ways, won't it? No one deletes anything anymore. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was interested in what you were saying about having, like, so much to write about now, even though in some ways, like, there's, you know, we're doing so much less, you know, like normally in your life, especially you'd be on the road all the time and all these different experiences. But then it's like there's so much still going on, and there's so much, like, I guess, opportunity for that self-reflection in a way, and kind of
because it is the juxtaposition, isn't it? It's like your whole life's changed, and the only thing you can do to help is nothing, ultimately. So, you know, like, apart from kind of watch it all unfold in front of you, and therefore, I guess have opinions on it. I mean, how much they help or not. But yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition. And because I know there was a bit of sort of bounce back as well. There was sort of felt like an initial push. Everybody wanted to be really creative. I know a friend that works in a guitar shop that said, you know, like, they just sold guitars online like you wouldn't believe, which is really nice here. And I think, and quite rightly so, I also think then there was a kind of narrative that said, if you're not writing a book, you know, or writing an album in this, it's fine. You know, like, please don't feel the need to come out of this with a new language or anything like that. You know, it's a tragedy at the end of the day. And if you just need to, you know, get your head down and get on with it, certainly don't feel guilty. Or if you want to play, you know, computer for the night or whatever, which I also think is an extremely, you know, a good thing to say. I always found the worst thing with any form of creativity is sort of expecting people to do it, or say, now's the time to write the song. It's, you know, it's just not good for any art, I don't believe, in that manner.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That kind of pressure can be really off-putting. I found the same. Like, there's been times where I felt really creative and really motivated. Like, I've got to do all these new things. And other weeks where it's just been like no energy for it at all. And I think that's kind of common for a lot of people, isn't it?
Exactly
ups
that.
and downs throughout it. Another thing I was just going to ask you on your songwriting process. You're saying that you kind of often writing about current events. Like, do you identify before, and you know an album a year, don't you? That do you identify like I want to do songs about these particular topics, or do you just follow things?
No, I'll do it one song at a time. Yeah, it'll be like, this is something that's going to write about this, going to write about that, and I might have a sort of, I guess I might have a bit of a list in my head. But to me, it's always extremely obvious what I'm going to be writing about as well. I'd never go searching for subject matter. It's just the first thing that comes to me is generally what I write about.
Cool, good stuff. Cool. Well, let's move into section 2 now, shall we? This is where I ask my guests to share with us a songwriting tip that might be useful for other songwriters. So what would your tip be for us, Jay?
Yeah, I was trying not to go on forever and ever, which is my generally my curse in these sort of things. I think if it had to be one tip, it'd probably be definitely finish the song. But adding on to that, I'd say that the thing I love the most about songwriting is there is no right or wrong. It's, you can do whatever you want, and anybody's obviously welcome to judge you, but it's how you take their judgment as to what that means to you. There is no one can say that's not a song, or it's not a good song, or it's a bad song. Really, that's their opinion. There is no right and wrong, and that's what makes it so brilliant, and anybody can do it, and also, I find that as far as if you're doing it for the first time, it's definitely play your song to other people as well, because there is, you can't get away from the fact that for whatever reason you're writing your song, if you play it to someone and they like it, it's always going to feel good inside, and it's going to give you encouragement to either put a bit more work on the song or write another song, but I think definitely finish the song, even if you're not mad happy with it. It's still, there's anything could happen until you've said, that's it, I've finished that song now, and that one's done, and and now it exists. But yeah, I mean, and because that again is one of the pleasures of songwriting, when a song is finished and you have effectively created something out of nothing, which again could effectively go on to mean the world to someone, which is nothing short of magic, basically, when you think of it like that. It's a truly sort of magical process. And even if that, it's one person that's close to you in your family that hears it and takes something from it, all you've done is put in effort and got out good energy from it. So it's, finish the song.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think I really like what you said about you've taken something out of nothing, and it's that, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Everyone's got their own, everyone can do it. Everyone can make their own sounds and put their own words to it. Yeah. And like you say, there's no right or wrong. And
there's nothing to lose, really, either.
Yeah. And I really like what you said about playing it for someone. I hadn't thought of it like that before, but it used to be a thing I used to always think with my band. When we do a song, it was never really done. It's never really until we played it live somewhere. Like, we could play it in rehearsal over and over and over again, but it was never finished until we'd done it live and it worked in a live environment and other people had heard it. Yeah, and it felt like you can't back out then.
Then that's kind of, that's like the sort of second birth of a song, really, when it's played in someone else's vicinity, even if it's just across the room to someone else or at a gig. But yeah, that's definitely another kind of a big marker for the life of the song, isn't it? When that means it's out there. Like you said, you can't go back on it as such.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and there's just something different about when you play a song in front of someone than when you play it by yourself.
There definitely is. Yeah,
great stuff. Yeah, thanks for that. It's really good stuff. So now we're moving to section 3, shall we? This is where I ask my guests to share with us a song that's meaningful to them in some way relating to bereavement. And what often here is I'll put the link for the song in the description. So if you're watching this and you want to go to the song, you can follow the link and then come back. We're going to have a chat about it. So what song did you choose for us, Jay?
Well, I'd like to think that people probably don't need a link to to get to Bob Marley Redemption song. Obviously, extremely massive, beautiful song that most of the world knows, I'd like to think. And you hear it often. It was played at a dear friend of mine, Skipper, who passed away a long time ago in very sad circumstances. And it was played at his funeral. He was a big Bob Marley fan. He was a big Bob Dylan fan. He was a great guitarist and songwriter. But it kind of, his death hit me at the funeral when that song was played. And every time I've heard it since, I remember Skip. It doesn't necessarily bring sadness anymore. Certainly not as it did at the funeral. But and because it's such a big song, and because you hear it played, at a festival in the sunshine before a band goes on, or on the radio in a taxi, it's everywhere. And because of that, it skips everywhere, because I always link him to the song. So yeah, that was, instantly when I read the question, there was no question for me. I knew exactly what it was going to be.
Yeah, it's a great choice. And yeah, such a powerful song. I listened to it again, preparing for this. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and it's one of them songs that
can't deny it.
Yeah, and it feels like every time I go back to it, I feel like I get something new out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, amazing, brilliant. Yeah, well, thanks a lot for your time, Jay.
My pleasure. Sorry if I was a bit sweaty, people. It is a hot day today. Yeah, but Ben's been using towels to dry himself down, but I wasn't as prepared.
Should have had rounds, shouldn't we?
Little towel rounds. Cool. I'll get back out into the sunshine then.
Yeah. You got anything? You're doing a live stream tonight, I believe, aren't you?
I am. Yes, exactly that, at the Clapham Ground. So I'm actually going to leave and go to a gig now. Nice. First time I've left the house with my guitar for a long time. There's not going to be anybody at the gig apart from someone manning a camera, but it's in a venue and there will be monitors. And so that, I don't know when this goes out. I guess there's no need to plug the gig.
I'm going to try and get it out in time for 8 o'clock tonight.
Right, okay.
Thursday, 25th, and so I'm going to try and get up in time.
In which case, wonderful. Yeah, if you check this out, then it's myself, Frank Turner also playing on the Clapham Grand stage, and then Billy Bragg coming in via Zoom. Zoom did well out of all of this, didn't they? Oh, yeah. Whoa. Never even heard of it. But Bragg will be there through Zoom, and it's a fundraiser for the Clapham Grand. A very old friend of mine is the manager there. It's a 120-year-old independent music venue, which is facing bankruptcy and closure, basically. And they're raising, it's a god-awful amount of money that they need to save it, but they're doing a fantastic job, and save it we must.
Great stuff. Yeah, well, I recommend people tuning in if they can, and I'll tag your social media pages and website and everything so people can keep an eye on you and follow your new releases as they come.
Wicked. Cheers, Ben.
Good stuff, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll be back with another episode soon.